Looks like a golfer from Jersey City. Or actually Jersey, not Jersey City, it's Jersey. He's coming in and he's checking out Bridlewood. He lives in this area. Bridlewood is a golf course around here. All right, so I did mention the new script I was working on, well, in my head right now. Hasn't made it to paper yet. It's called Your Love with Paid Training. So here it is. There's two characters that's mostly focused on. It's a love story. We're gonna start with a female. It's a character-driven script. Okay, it's gonna be focused a lot on dialogue and stuff like that. She loves him and cares for him, but he's a divorcee. So he's divorced from his wife who abandoned him. He can't see his kids. He put the whole court thing on the back burner. Completely just put it on the back burner. You know, he just didn't want to get involved because he went through an ugly divorce when he was a child, with seeing his parents and get divorced, and they were, you know, sending him back and forth. You know, as a kid, he didn't want his kids to go through that. So he just started a whole new life and met her. She found this out and loves him and wants him to be able to see his kids again. She has a problem with drinking, and it starts off a pretty bad problem, and then it lessens over time. She gets a little bit better. She's a very real person. She's a big fan of I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball. The main character, he's a big fan of all the actors, and they're both kind of actors in a way. She's not like formally trained or anything. He is, so he's got connections with the actor studio and all this other stuff. He's like an actor. Kind of Cassavetes a little bit. The script isn't going to try to hide really who I am. I may change my name a little bit. Now, he is writing a werewolf movie in the script, which would happen to be Grace. So if Grace made it, it'd be very funny for this script to make it, because it'd be about Grace, the werewolf film. And I'll probably even call it Grace in it. Or Werevlog. I may call it Werevlog. He's writing a crazy script. He doesn't even know how he's going to sell it. Doesn't know what he's going to do. It's got a little bit of author with Al Pacino in there too, because Al Pacino played a playwright. Regardless, it's basically what's going on now, and I'm going to try to capture the dialogue eventually. So it's all my scripts and stuff like that. I go about it in an experimental way. So now with Grace, the aka Werevlog, that's very fanciful. It's Midsummer Night's Dream. You know, it's Shakespeare at his fanciful. You know, this is like Cassavetes. It's like writing about what's going on now. You know, with moments of you can improv. You know. Anyway, I just thought that was cool. The reason why I like Your Love with Paid Training is because there's a moment in our life where I took after this job because it offered paid training. You know, rather than just commission only. But also there was love involved because, well, I'm in love with Linda. I care for her like I would a family member or a lover, you know, a friend, and even a wife. So, oh, another thing too is they're not like legally married in the movie, but they could be if they wanted to be. But they're married under the blood of the Lamb. You know, it's like common law kind of thing. So, you know, it is what you're kind of seeing, only it would be on paper to a certain extent. And maybe these vlogs will help. Maybe I can listen to them and write about it. Western Days, Louisville, coming up. This is very common for the Democrat. The back of that right there, it says Biden and voting matters, a bunch of Comic-Con stuff. I think the reason why I'm a big Gary Oldman fan, it goes back to the early days of Gary Oldman, Sid and Nancy and stuff, but I think when I've done a little more research, and I do my research by listening, and it seems to me, and I could be mistaken if I ever did an interview with Gary Oldman or if I ever got to talk to him, it seems to me that Oldman did not want to be a part of the RADA group, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. Now, listen, I could be completely wrong. He could be a diehard Royal Shakespeare fan. You know, the Royal Shakespeare group, you know, Sir Ian McKellen, Anthony Hopkins, Kate Winslet's part of it too, and there's like a whole group of them, a long group of them. The guy that was in Star Trek that played Picard, I'm just going blank, but there's a lot of them, a lot of the Royal Shakespeare type of actors. I think Gary Oldman wanted to secretly, I think two things. I think one thing he wanted to be Malcolm McDaniel, Michael McDaniel. I'll have to think of this. The guy that was in Clockwork Orange. You know what I'm talking about. McDowell. Let me look up the guy's name. I'll look up the guy's name. Michael McDowell, whatever. Anyway, whatever his name was, he wanted to be kind of him, an outsider, which he is. And then he also, I think he had a thirst to come over to America and kind of be kind of a method actor, you know, because that's what I saw him as, this English guy that's a method actor, kind of stuck out a little bit. You know, he was kind of a rebel, so he wanted to be kind of that. And so I don't think he went down the common route. He went to like almost like a smaller community college and studied this theater and all this stuff, and then he got involved in some of the Royal Shakespeare stuff because you had to back then when you're in the UK and England. And then he got sucked into the method scene. He's seen as a method actor, you know, working with Francis Ford Coppola and Dracula and almost everything he's done. He's more method than most method actors were. But even though he's coming from the UK, you know, I don't really know a whole lot. I'd have to study this Wikipedia, which I probably will. But that's the thing. And with me, it's interesting is because if you are a rebel or if you're an outsider, then the method works for you, because that most of them are. Because we don't really know what we're doing. I don't think we want to know. A lot of times I'm always told to stay out of my head. It's dangerous to be in there. You just do stuff. And failing is okay. Being a failure is no big deal. You know, a method actor that walks up and, oh, you're a failure? You fit right in. Not always the case. Okay, yeah, I understand the Mustang behind me. Yeah. Not always the case with the Royal Shakespeare Academy. You know, they're all very successful, and I'm not saying that they're not really outsiders. You know, they're like the insiders of it all. And they all, you know, everything's Shakespeare. Not the case with the method. We like Shakespeare. We honor Shakespeare, but it's not always about Shakespeare, and it's not always about the words. Very rarely is it about the words at all. And then even Stella Adler, the big method actress, and also, of course, teaching of the method, would yell at her students, like, we don't go to the theater to listen to words, you know, because they were trying to reveal life, and the Americans passionately wanted to do that, especially whenever, and I can go in the whole history, but whenever Moscow Art Theater came in and showed them what reality kind of could be, and then they took off with it and they loved it, and we still do today. Sometimes if we look at a script or something and we see too much fancifulness in it, we get kind of depressed, you know. We just want to be real. Look at this guy's an idiot. Look at that. No budging at all. I was driving the same kind of Volkswagen Zuckerberg drives, or something similar. They're like the most polluted thing ever. The guy didn't budge. Anyway, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just thought it would be cool. I know the werewolf film, the script is god-awful. I know. I look at it and it just makes me want to cry. Looks like it's written by a teenager. But the thing is that I don't care. I can't force it upon them, and I can always move on to another script and start writing something else. But you learn a lot from failure. But I'm still going to continue reading it and things, and just for fun and offering it around and see what happens. It'd be a miracle if that thing got any money on it at all. If I made $30 with it, and most films, you know, you make at least 30 million, or if you're a filmmaker, you make it at least 100 million or something. You make some kind of money, and sometimes you lose money. I don't know. But I would like to be able to spend some time watching John Cassavetes movies, because I have a feeling that John Cassavetes didn't rely only on the script. He relied on the actors. And that's a safe place to be. I think even Shakespeare probably did the same a little bit, you know, because he knew those actors that he was writing for. I'm sure he did. And he knew what they liked. And those are the things that you want to do as a writer. If you're writing screenplays, and if you're writing theater, and you're not paying attention to the actors that are out there today that can lovably take it on and enjoy it and everything, then you're writing for, you know, for some other reason. You know, you have to still consider the actors. If you don't consider the actors, then you're kind of cheating the whole system of the theater, and cheating the whole method, or whatever you want to call it, of the film. I think so. You know, I think you would be. Now, you can work with new actors, but, you know, when it comes to cinema, you'll end up making them stars. So they'll have to deal with other people writing the material. But there are the writers that just write the story only. They don't care about the actors. They just write the story, you know. And that's fine. That you can do that too. But I think it's a little selfish, to be honest. I write for the actors. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. You know, or if you have a friend, you know, that you know the certain way that they speak, or the certain way that they are, and you write for them, the material is so much stronger, because it's like writing a personal letter to somebody, you know. And that's like half the Bible, because Paul was writing back to the churches that he knew. In the Bible, he's writing to someone that he knew. You know, you have to write to someone. And you also feel like you know these people, these stars and stuff, because you've sat down for 2 hours with the lights off and looked at their face, you know. I mean, going like, let's say The Shining with Stanley Kubrick, I think Stanley Kubrick was aware that Jack Nicholson was probably going to play that role. You know, I'm pretty sure he probably was aware of that. And then whenever they took off with it, then you fit those words and you fit the story to the actor, right? But then you could say the opposite, you know. I didn't write it for the actor, I wrote it for this character. Well, the actor's now a part of it, so now you have to try to fit the actor into it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, I'm still going to try to pump it out by the end of October. I'm going to print it. And there's a lot of work that I need to do to the fight sequences. I do need to pay attention to the dialogue, so that the actors are like, what is this, you know, like fit the word to the action and the action to the word. I don't always do that. It's a bad habit. Like, I go off on tangents and things, and sometimes I like that in movies, but I don't know. You never know. You know, you can't ever always know if it's on paper, and it's like, oh, this looks so good on paper, and then you stand it up and you can't really do anything with it. Sometimes things that look really funny and crazy on paper, you stand it up and it turns into like great work, you know? Now I remember. Okay, so I was reading an article about Gary Oldman. Malcolm McDowell was the actor he looked up to at the time. Seems like all actors look up to another actor, you know, and then they're like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So Malcolm McDowell was the guy he saw in a movie. I vlogged it before. It was like a romance. It was like a cheesy romance that he was in. One of his early works. So yeah, the film was Long Again Tomorrow, or The Raging Moon. That was the one that Gary Oldman saw, and then was like, yeah, I'm gonna be an actor. Yeah, okay. So these are kind of some interesting things. I'll have to go and see that movie. Anyway, I think Grace could be saved. Probably with of course, with rewrites, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out once we print it out. I mean, I'm gonna try to patch up some of the fight sequences and stuff like that towards the end. But anyway, I'm trying to get the names right. Malcolm McDowell was the guy, and it was Long Again Tomorrow was the name of the movie, also known as The Raging Moon. They have two titles. They usually have like a European title and American title. It's like a 1970s or maybe late 60s love story. Long Again Tomorrow was 1971 film. I messed up there's a Long Ago Tomorrow. It's 1971. It's also known as The Raging Moon. That was the film I was associating with, you know, or remembering that Gary Oldman had seen, and then we went into the movie theater and saw that film, and then, you know, he was like, Malcolm McDowell was someone he looked up to and kind of caught on to, you know, like that existence, you know, like this is what you can be. You can be something like this, you know. I don't see a lot of relations between Gary Oldman and Malcolm McDowell, but they do have an intensity that they share. I think there's like an intensity, kind of a crazy vibe that I think they both kind of have. So Elliott Smith, one of my favorite guitar players and lyricist, who passed away in Echo Park many years ago. I wanted to do a vlog about that. Listen, I haven't had anything to eat, so I'm doing the best I can to kind of explain this, because I'm going to tie this into your love with paid training. But when you're isolated and you're on your own, he talked about that and how your muscles begin to ache because you're striving to meet that other person. So you're working yourself down to the bone, either it be exercising or not eating, so that you can meet that other person. You have to make yourself as perfect as possible, right? Everybody does it, regardless of what they say. Because you go without when you don't have that other person. Now, when the person gets into your life, then you get sometimes too much, or you get what's called love, you know. So you're eating more, you sometimes will gain weight, unless you're extremely poor, which some people are, but you're rich in love, you know. The reason I'm including this is because there are specific things that I went after when I was on my own. And one was during the COVID time when coronavirus was really bad. I bought 88-cent stick of noodles. So they were basically like Skinner noodles and beans. So I was mixing beans and noodles and then putting like condiments in them, trying to pass it off as a decent meal. And then I would look forward for a luxury. I'd get what's known as the bomb burrito. You can find them at any gas station. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's that long burrito at a gas station. It's called the bomb. You can microwave it. You put a little piece of cheese on it, if you could afford single sliced cheese, and just put that on there and some hot sauce, and that was like a luxury for the night, you know. Really put a smile on your face, you know, coming right out of the microwave. Now, I was talked out of doing that when I met Linda. She was like, no more of that, because I was used to it. So Linda was in my life, and I'm like, hey, I got one of these. And she's like, what is that? And I would show her the bomb burrito. Now, remember, I'd written about the bomb burrito. It's in my novel, Chin, which is an attempt, a story about coronavirus. And I put all the ingredients in right there in a paragraph. It's not your ideal nutritious meal, you know. So nutrition, you know, Linda being in the food industry, and when I met her, you know, we weren't even really able to shake hands because you weren't supposed to shake hands during the coronavirus. We met during the height of the coronavirus, like during the worst part of it. It was sure death to meet someone and to date someone, and it wasn't very popular during that time. And when we shook hands with the end of our wrist, or that's how Linda shook my hand. But during that day, sometime hours later, we were, you know, kissing and making out, regardless of coronavirus. I guess we both didn't care. And she was introduced to my crazy life. Now, you have to realize, I was pretty odd when I met Linda. I had been divorced for at least over a year. It was like 13 months of isolation. Of not complete isolation, there was still the world, but Corona had shown up, and I got hit in the chin at a Burger King because I yelled at this guy because I was working for Uber Eats, and they weren't making the order. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was off herring at Heinz, and I yelled at the guy, and then he knocked me in the chin through a drive-through window. My chin was sore for like 6 months. I over-exaggerate, but I thought it was fractured, but it wasn't. And so I wrote a book about it called Chin, and it was about, they called the coronavirus the China virus, or Kung Fu, and so there was this fear of China. So I just took the A off of, China, and it became Chin, but it was also kind of a double entendre because my chin got hit. So it was like surrounded by this assault. And Linda comes into the picture. So I think she's Catch 22 lady in the actual book, the character name. So I'm writing about Chin, and at the time I'm like trying to figure out like how to really write with style or whatever, and so I start getting kind of fixated on David Foster Wallace, who wrote The Lobster, which was an essay that he wrote. He also wrote The Infinite Jest, which is kind of what it is. It's an infinite jest. It's a brilliant book that got awards and set in this fictional town, and I liked the idea, so I put some of the structure of Infinite Jest in the story because I was listening to it, like the year of, Glade, or the year of Glad. It was like each year became a product. So fits in today's society for today. David Foster Wallace was a mad genius. But anyway, I put that in there as kind of an homage to him. And then Linda comes in my life, and I'm trying to explain these things to her, and she doesn't really care about any of this stuff. She mostly cares about, food and service and stuff like that, serving people food, She tries to explain to me. And at the time, she's working off and on at Einstein Bagels with a group of people. And then I ended up getting recruited as her employee. She was my manager at Einstein Bagels, and we worked there for a while. And Linda was having a horrible time with alcohol. A lot of people were. She was doing like 15 beers a day. It's really bad, and I was scared for her. I was trying to help her through that. And she was living with me in this luxury apartment complex, which I don't even know how I got in. I got in before coronavirus, so I got in with Uber. I was doing Uber rideshare, and then I started doing Uber Eats, and then I started doing Lyft, and then I started doing delivery, like DoorDash and Postmates and all this other stuff. And then, all along, after all this is going on, I'm getting letters about child support, and which are threatening letters. And then I get a ticket in a school zone, and I was not able to pay it, and then I had to go to jail for like 17 hours or something like that. It was miserable. And then I get bailed out by an anonymous person, which I'm not going to mention, my person that helped me with that. I think I mentioned it later, but told me not to tell anybody. And then I get out, and I think I continue writing Chin, and I work on a sequel to Chin Part 2. And then somewhere in the mix, before I moved to Fort Worth, I had an idea to do a fighting film, like kind of like inspired by Rocky. And The Fighter, another one Russell did with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg. And I thought, well, let's do a fighting film, and I'll jog around and get into shape. It'll be, a great dating kind of thing. And then, it's going down, and I'm doing like 30 pages of it, and it's like, this is just another version of Rocky. So I was like, well, what's going on? And then like one night, I hear all this yapping in the side field where I was living, at the mansions at Sunset Ridge. I wrote many different scripts and plays and stuff like that there. A lot of songs and things like that, and a novel. And then so I thought to myself, okay, I'm hearing these werewolves yap. Why don't we just shift the corner on everything and just turn this into like a werewolf movie? And then I was getting involved with vloggers and like watching vloggers, and Grim Life Collective was starting to head their way to Hollywood. And I thought, you know what, I like this idea. Now I don't have to worry about it the rest of my life, and I can fantasize and write this thing about a werewolf. And I don't know, I'll just keep the characters, the fighting character, the mixed martial arts guy, because it was really about mixed martial arts. It wasn't about boxing. I thought, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. And I switched it and turned it into a werewolf film. And now I'm talking about it right now. You know, the life of a writer, they're really in their head, you know, and they do make good actors at times, but they have to get out of their head whenever they start to act. But then after doing all this, my life got so crazy, and I started doing this like secret Uber and cleaning houses, and Linda was still doing you know, like the food service, and I was still in love with her, and I thought, well, why don't I write about love? And so then I, you know, I had just got this job doing A.D.W.C stuff, and they were paid training. And then I found this song called Your Love, which I've heard of it before. It's by Outfield. I really liked it. You know, it's because Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around, we'll talk it over. I have so much I want to say. You know, I like my girls a little bit older. I just want to use your love tonight. I just want to I don't want to lose your love tonight. And so I thought, well, you know what? You know, well, why don't we switch over eventually and just write a love story, which I'm thinking about doing. I don't know. I do kind of like the werewolf idea, though, because, you know, it is set in a fantasy world. It's so wonderful to be able to do that as a writer. You go in this fantasy world, you're not even thinking about you. Same thing with an actor. An actor does that, too. They go into this role, they don't think about themselves. I don't know. We'll have to see. But that's about a 10-minute one. Again, we're approaching the gates of Fort Worth by Mark IV Parkway, where they keep the good people in and the bad people out. Oh, by the way, we did hit 700 subscribers. Which I thought, well, I told her if we do that, we can do anything. So we're at 700. We're more than 700 subscribers right now. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. I was listening to my monologue they just gave you, and yeah, it does kind of have a slacker feel, like Richard Linklater. But what's great about that movie is that, you know, you got this guy on a bus. He's looking out the window for like quite a bit of time. Then he gets off the bus, and then he gets into this cab, and there's a cab driver. It's like this, I don't know, some dude, you know, some dude, you know, he's pitching this whole idea about parallel universes, and, you know, whether he's, you know, if you met some chick like at this payphone or something, or called somebody to come pick him up, and he started a whole new life, and all this stuff, and he's talking about this whole, and the cab driver's not saying anything and listening to him the whole time. It's very funny. I just thought that was funny. If you ever seen Slackers, you gotta see the movie Slacker with Richard Linklater. It's like his best stuff. But that opening scene is like great. It's like so real, you know, even though it's like almost cartoony, you know, but it's like, it's very real. It's kind of crazy. I want to say one more thing. I'm about to go into a Taco Bell, which is like pretty much like right there. And, you know, you can go and find this little cush job, whether it be a teacher or a great salesperson selling cars or whatever it is. And then you put your art on like the back burner, and then you're not able to create it for years and years. And then it kind of goes away, and then you're just making money. I mean, personally, I'd rather just not exist than choose that easy way out, you know? I mean, I eat a lot of ramen noodle and tuna, but yet I still get to, like, create my art, and it is through the vlog, but I'll take it for that, you know? But, you know, before I go, you know, in to have a taco, because I'm going to have a $2 taco, I just don't think, you know, I tried doing it at a bank for like 4 years, you know, even had the kids and everything. And I was still like picking up the guitar or, you know, writing these little screenplays on the side, you know, and trying to do what I really love. And then when my wife found out that I was having that kind of an affair with, you know, art, you know, as in art as in that you explore, you know, like filmmaking or music. When she knew I was having an affair with filmmaking and music, you know, she just, you know, she said stop. And, you know, I was still posting on YouTube and I was still writing music for SoundCloud. I couldn't. So she left, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing I can do about it because I had to do it. So, you know, if she really loved watercoloring, I always say that, watercoloring. If she really loved watercoloring, or if there's something that she really loved, I would want her to do that because that's part of who she is. I wouldn't try to, you know, control how she's supposed to be. You know, I never changed my status on Facebook. It always said actor and filmmaker and writer or whatever. I never changed that the entire time. So why lie to her? So she said no, she didn't want that in a man, and so she moved on. Linda's okay with it. Although she does get a little upset sometimes because I spend every night throwing these videos together. And even people I meet, you know, when I meet them just for a few moments, I tell them about the videos and I tell them about the show. I mean, it's our only way in. It's a back door, you know. Not everybody can knock on the Hollywood door and get, you know. But, you know, there was no way like someone like Richard Linklater was going to fail because he was mailing off his films to get developed while he was out in the world doing them. He had no care about any type of other type of profession. He still mailed that footage off and it got developed and it became something. So when we send these off on this channel, it is convenient to do. I mean, if I was working with a film camera, I would be so hungry because I have no idea. I mean, like to you know, it would just be insane dealing with like real film every night. Though it would be kind of exciting, but you know, like with a little film thing. But I think I think the vlogger or like the YouTuber, they're more kind of obsessed with just the story. They don't care the medium. They don't care if it's laid out on film or if it's on digital video. But what I'm trying to say is that eventually I think you come to a point in life where you go, okay, I'm going to do this thing, whether it's, you know, climbing a mountain or creating some type of business or, you know, building your own house, you know, or whatever it is. And then you just start doing it, you know. And you're not worried about all the consequences, then you start to develop, you know. The weird thing is I'm so far from the theater because it used to be about getting this little magazine that was like Backstage or whatever it was called. It was called Stage in Dallas, and then you would see where the audition was supposed to be, and you had either someone helping you, you know, with the hard bills, and you had the extra, you know, 20 hours a week just to memorize lines, and then you'd show up at the audition, you'd meet this new director guy, you know, that's like, you know, in the community theater, you'd audition, and then that would be like so time consuming. And if it was a good play, then it was real exciting and you liked it. If it was a bad play, then it was like the most boring thing that you could go through, but you still did it anyway. You know, that was kind of a life that's so far reachable, you know. When I think about it, it's way in the past. It's like an ocean to get to, you know. I have to like go way over there, and I'm like, couldn't even imagine how I even did that back then, you know. Now I just like pick up this thing right here and I start kind of constructing things. And if I write something, I can just film what I write and like send it up, you know, and it becomes this like organism of something. It's like a new phenomenon. But anyway, I'm gonna go get a taco. Here is Linda eating Sonic food at a Taco Bell. Ooh, that looks good. My goodness. I get half a burger. Cheeseburger. Cool. And a pickle chip. Is there a dipping sauce? Pickle fry. Oh, okay. It's ranch. All right. Next step, we go to Walmart and pick up stuff. guess I'm gonna try to read my werewolf screenplay tonight. I guess I'll read some of my werewolf screenplay tonight. Well, we're gonna do a 700 subscriber celebration tonight. I'll probably just do a background with I don't know, 2 colors, maybe, I don't know, white background with black lettering, or maybe I'll do a white background with gold lettering. 700 celebration for subscribers. Been waiting a long time. Almost, what, 4 years? About almost 4 years for the show to get to 700 subscribers.
Shift this week? I might have one.
Look on the side of the door because this is a time where the season of the sniffles.
Oh, my friend said her mom has COVID.
Oh, that's wonderful news.
Yeah, she's been in the hospital.
What state?
Houston, Texas.
Oh, in Houston.
And Kim had it once too. I think her whole family did. I think her mom already had it.